Hello, yesterday I tried to make sense of the Chrome SVG logo. Today I'm going to rebuild it from scratch, hopefully in a more compact manner and preserving the same look. So I'm going to start with the viewport dimensions, and I'm going to set them to a nice large value so that I can round stuff and I don't have decimals and stuff like that. And also keep stuff pretty precise. So SVG view box. And I'm going to set this view box such that its 0 point is right in the middle, and this is going to be helpful with circles and with transforms and stuff like that. So join those values with a space, and I want to see the result I want to get to. So let's do something like this: background URL. So something like this. I think that should work. Okay. I think that should do it. Okay, so now I'm going to have a circle. And here I'm going to compute an inner radius, which is going to be something like, of course, I round it before anything else. Something like this, and let's see how that looks. Inner, sorry. Okay. So let's see just how good that approximation is. Let's make it something like 0.38. Too small. Okay, this looks perfect. Now I'm also going to compute an inner stroke width, and this is going to be smaller than 0.1. So I'm going to have stroke and also stroke width. Let's see that. Okay, this looks almost perfect. This looks perfect. I'm just going to leave it like that. And I'm also going to have a fill, which I'm going to take it from here. So as you can see here, I have two circles, and I've only created one circle here. And I'm going to take out that opacity at the end. So I'm just doing this. Okay, now I'm also going to have an outer radius. This is, let's start with something like 0.9. It's probably going to be bigger than that. 95 might be too big, but let's see with opacity. No, it's actually perfect. I'm just going to leave it like this. So this is going to be my clip path. So yeah, and in between these two I'm going to have the components. So I'm going to have a group slice, and within it I'm going to have a path. So what I'm going to do here is compute a medium radius, and this one is the inner radius plus half the inner stroke width, so 0.5 times. I'm going to start. My starting point is going to be right here, and that's 0 and minus the mid radius. And since I'm using the clip path, I don't need anything too precise, so I can just draw horizontal and vertical lines and go all the way up to the outer radius, vertically as well, and then horizontally back to 0. And next I want to get to that point there. So in order to do that, I'm going to compute an initial angle, and this one is going to be the arc sine of the medium radius over the outer radius. Then I'm going to have another angle. This one is minus this initial angle plus a third of the full circle. So that's 2 pi for the full circle and over 3. And next I'm going to compute the coordinates. So x1, like everything else that we actually use, it's going to get rounded. So that's the outer radius times cosine. Okay, and this is going to be the same for the second coordinate, except of course that's going to be y, and this is going to be sine. And now I'm just going to add this. So x1, x2, y1, sorry. So just copy paste this, copy paste this as well, modify those values to 2, and now just change stuff here. Again, the mid radius here. So yeah, next step is to just okay, that's better. Okay, next step is to just copy this. So use the slice transform, that's going to be a rotate 120. Now I'm also going to add a fill. So yellow. Now I'm just going to actually just use the a real color. So yellow component. This is my yellow, and I'm going to use it here. So take this fill, put it here, and take the green, put it there. Now copy paste this. This is going to be 240, and I'm going to need the red. So the red is right there, and now I'm going to apply that clip path. Okay, so now I have that, and if I get rid of that opacity, okay, now let's do the highlights. So I'm going to have a path, and I'm going to start from the right, so that's outer radius and 0 for the y coordinate, and then I'm going to have an arc, and the radii, both for the x and the y axis, they're both going to be the outer radius, no rotation, no big arc, clockwise, and it goes to the left, which is minus outer radius and 0. So now I'm going to take this, and I'm going to copy paste it, and it's going to be pretty much the same, except this is going to be 0, and I'm going back and I'm using a bigger radius. So on this bigger radius, I'm going to compute an outer stroke width, and this is going to be I don't know, 0.02, slightly smaller, something like that. And here I'm going to compute that radius, which is And this one, I'm actually going to need decimals here. Okay, so that's going to be it. I'm also going to have a fill, which is going to be gray, and an opacity, which, as far as I can remember, it was 0.15. So let's find that gray. So here it is. That's the gray. Add it here. Let's do the top highlight as well. So this one is going to be white. 0.2. Okay, now let's do the overlay. Now let's understand how that overlay works. So radial gradient overlay. And I'm going to have stop and some stuff in here, and I'm also going to have some stuff in here, but let's understand how this works. So let's change these to 0. Let's remove the opacity, and we're going to see how this overlay works. So basically I have a circular gradient, radial gradient. And this is about 19%, this is about 18%, this is about 93% or something like that. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much what I need to do. So I'm going to leave the gradient units the default. So I'm going to use percentages here. So 19%, 18%, and 93%. Okay, now for the stop, I'm going to have stop color, stop opacity. This is going to take some value, but for now, just this is going to be offset 1. The default offset is 0, so I'm not going to set it if it's 0. And I'm going to use the fill. So let's see. Okay, that works. Now this is going to be 0.1, and this is going to be 0. So yeah, that's my radial gradient. Now the next thing I'm going to do, wait a second, I forgot to reverse these. Okay, that did it. Now that I've done this, let's move on to the shadows. So I'm going to create the shadows over here. So I'm going to have a path, and I'm going to start at the same point. So basically this is pretty much the same start, except here I'm going to have cosine of that initial angle. Then I'm going to have a line and it's going to be 0, and vertically let's say it's going to be twice the inner stroke width minus the inner radius, something like that. And the fill is going to be a radial gradient. So let's do that. Just copy paste this. I believe that was 0.2, and this is going to be not going to be that, but let's delete those. What the heck did I do? Okay. and this is going to be this one. Okay, so those are my shadows, and they look pretty good at this point. Now let's see what that shadow gradient looks like. But first, let's undo stuff here. Let's see the shadow gradient. So if I'm going to do something like this, get rid of the stop opacity and do something like this, and this may paint a clearer picture. So I have a gradient with the center right there, and it goes that way. Okay, that's good enough. So I'm going to need to change the gradient units in this case. So this is going to be 0 minus mid radius. This is going to be the outer radius, and here I'm going to have gradient units. Okay, so yeah, I have different colors there. Let's illustrate that. Okay, so that does it. So now that I've done this, let's replace with the actual colors. So this is the actual color that I need there. This is going to be 0.2. This is going to be 0. So yeah, I have my shadows now. Next thing, I'm going to need to do the inner edge highlights. So in order to do those, I'm just going to put them both in a group, and I'm going to have opacity. I'm going to give them the same stroke width. This is stuff I set on the group, so I don't set on each one of them. And here I'm going to have a path, and this path starts exactly the same as this one. Actually, it's pretty much the same. Except I'm going to go a bit lower, so 0.25 times the outer stroke width, and the stroke is going to be the same value I have here, I believe. So let's see this. Okay, so I'm seeing them, which is good. Now the next thing I'm going to do a similar one. This one is going to be white in stroke. So let's do something like this. I'm going to start from actually, yeah, that's good enough. And 0, and then I'm going to have an arc. Let's leave it like this for now, clockwise, and I end up minus mid radius plus 0.25. 0, sorry. Okay. And next I'm going to have horizontal line. So this is supposed to be lighter one. Let's see. Okay, and I'm supposed not to have a fill here, so fill none. Okay, so those are my highlights, and as you can see, the highlight there, it's not visible because it's covered by the last one. Okay, and I messed up the order of these. It's just now that I notice. So yeah, fix that. What the heck? Okay. I'm officially a mess. Okay, so I'm going to need to change the coordinates. Okay. This does it. Okay, now I'm going to need to change the coordinates so that I can rotate it and bring it there. So from there, bring it there. So rotate it. So let's cosine so done that. Now let's start writing out the initial coordinates and the final coordinates. So my initial coordinate here, so x line initial, it's going to be that, and the y is going to be 0, so the final one, x line final, is going to be cosine. Okay, and okay, now my second set of coordinates is going to be there, so I'm just going to have on y. So y line initial 1 is going to be just down this value right here. Okay. And again here. This is going to be, so I'm going to have minus okay, and finally this is going to be so I'm going to have outer radius, so the outer radius times cosine minus and it's going to be the same value. So here, and then outer radius, sorry. So that's going to be it. So here I'm going to have and again I'm going to take these values, put them here. Here I'm going to have a line. So 1, 2. Okay, so this does it. Does the highlights. So I can do that. Now the final step is going to be adding gradients. So adding gradients on the slices. So those are going to be linear gradients, as far as I can recall. Yeah, linear gradients. So I have my yellow component gradients right here. So I have this color with a certain opacity, and yeah, let's see how we can get the actual color that we need. So let's do this linear gradient. So now let's copy paste this, and okay, and the background color is going to be this. So to get the actual color that we need, we're going to use the color picker. Oh no, sorry, this is outside. Okay, so this does it. Let's use the color picker. So that's the color that I actually want. So for my yellow gradient, not linear, sorry. Stop. This is going to be A for yellow. So the one that I picked up with the color picker. And then I'm going to have this. Offset 1. Okay, and let's set up this linear gradient. So this is like about close to 80 degrees, something like 77 degrees or something like that. Okay, let's see what we can do. this should approximate it. So okay, just to make things a bit more clear, let's do it like this. Blue should make it more obvious. Okay, so that's my gradient, and let's do something of the kind here. As you can see it's like a sort of blue gradient. I think the problem here is that I've messed up those shadows there, so but without the messed up shadows, where are you? Let's try it like this. You can see it a lot better. Okay, so let's undo that stuff. And now that I've done this, I can just copy paste this and do it for the other colors. A, B, and C. So the colors I'll be using, this is for the green, B. So I'm using there the green. Let's see my green. This is my green. So I need to inspect and get that color. Give me that color. So that's the color I'm going to use in the gradient, in the B. So right there. This is going to be URL. Okay, so this does it for the green as well. Now for the red, actually nope, this was 0.4. 0.4. Okay, let's get that color again. Give me the color picker. So it's actually a bit different. Now for the red, it's going to be 0.6. And it's going to use this as the background. So let's get the red. So this is the red. Okay, now inspect. And let's get the color here. So this is for C. And this is my color there. So this is URL C. Okay, that should have done it. Some reason it didn't. Oh, okay, it worked. Okay, so yeah, this is it. This is the final result, you know, with the highlights, with the shadows and gradients and stuff like that. And I think it's quite smaller by quite a bit. I don't know. Okay, I'm going to need to round some stuff. So all the stuff here, this needs to get rounded. This stuff here as well. So okay, so let's see the compiled code now. It should be nice and clean. Okay, I have a few opacity things that I need to get rid of. So I have this circle just to get rid of the opacity there. I don't have it there anymore. Okay, just that. So let's see. The final compiled HTML, as you can see, and it's quite a bit smaller, like not that much in terms of lines, but it's more, it has more air inside. So yeah, this is it. This is it for today. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have and you want me to be able to put more videos out in the future, please consider supporting my work in one of the ways explained in the description below, with a donation, by getting me something off my Amazon wishlist, or at least by sharing this to show the world how SVG can be used and compacted. In any event, thanks for watching.